Hi, and welcome to Focal Point. My name is Carla Green. I am the director of the Regional Prevention Center at the Kansas City, Kansas Community College. And with me today, I have Kendra Folsom. And Kendra and I are going to talk about the Student Senate organization here on our campus and some of the things that they do to help benefit our students. So welcome, Kendra.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about, not a little bit, a lot.
Okay.
Tell me about Student Senate. What's the purpose of Student Senate?
Well, obviously the students, they're the main focus of the college. It's a college, and it's really hard for a student to go and approach maybe a dean or the president or the provost if they want to get something changed. So first and foremost, the Student Senate acts as a liaison because we can work directly with the president. We have been contacted by the provost, the board of trustees, the dean councils, and we also attend regular college senate meetings. So, we're a huge communication resource for the students.
So you do have a voice.
We do.
On campus.
Yes.
Okay. So if, let's say I'm from the president's office and I contact Student Senate, what are some typical activities that I would want you to be involved in?
Well, I know one thing that we did this year, it was because we had a change in the president. Dr. Burke retired and we had to get a new college president. And for doing the interviews to choose a new college president, representatives from each of the senates, as the college senate, staff senate, student senate, and faculty senate, 2 representatives for each were chosen to actually be on the panel to interview 3 prospective college presidents. Okay. So we actually had a voice in choosing the college president. And I know one really fun thing that Dr. Givens, which obviously she was chosen, has done with us since she became our president, was we decorated her office for Christmas.
Right.
And we kind of decided that we're going to make that a tradition because it was really fun. We actually got one-on-one time with our president. So.
Wow. So how does that make you feel as a student?
Well, it's almost exalting because the president, she respects us so much, and she, not only comes to us because she wants to get to know us and get to know the students, but she also recognizes the power that we have and the influence that we have on the student body.
So does it take some of the mystery out of what goes on in the executive offices here on campus?
Because when I first got here my freshman year, before I became involved with Senate, I didn't know what the provost was. I didn't know what the president did. And now that I'm on the Student Senate and I actually, know some of them by their first name and, I'm on a first name basis with them, I'm much more familiar with what they do and how they help me and how I can help them.
Right. So when you interact with those groups, because you've mentioned some groups that are high up on the food chain here, you've talked about the president and the provost and the board. How are your opinions viewed by them?
Well, they really take them into heavy consideration because it's a community college. They work in the community, but also it's important because this is where students who might not have been able to get an education come. So if we have anything to talk to them about, like opening Mima's, our deli, later so that the evening students can actually eat.
That was you.
Yeah. We stayed until 6 p.m. one day and went to some of the classes and did surveys and compiled all the answers and made spreadsheets and stuff. So
very good.
They really take it into consideration because the students are so important. I mean, what's the value of an education if a student going straight from work to class can't eat, can't focus? It's just like in elementary school. If you're hungry, how are you going to do well on a test? So because we know the students and we know some of the issues, they really take our opinions into heavy consideration.
Does that the fact that your opinions do count and that you do have a voice here on campus, does that play into why you're here as a student?
It does, because I remember in middle school, I hated middle school. I had no power.
Right.
And how am I supposed to be happy in college when I'm supposed to be building up a resume and doing internships when the school doesn't even care what I think? I'm paying you. I'm going to school here and you don't care about my education. And if that were the case, I probably would have transferred, instead of waiting to get a degree here to transfer.
So with the things that you are learning in Student Senate, is there training that's involved? You're an officer? What office do you hold?
I'm the treasurer.
Okay. So do we just throw you in there and, hey, now you're the treasurer and you're on your own?
Well, it's kind of like that because, well, obviously you have to run for this position and get elected by your peers. So I guess they have to believe that you have some sort of organizational skills already and communication skills. But we do have the option to shadow officers if we wish to run. So last year I was parliamentarian and Fred was a treasurer, and I was very involved with the budget processes because I was thinking about running for treasurer. So that's about the extent of the training I got. And of course our advisor, Miss Linda Sutton, she's very involved. She, student senate is her job. For us it's like we can take it seriously if we don't want to, but it's her job. So she really tries hard to make sure that, all the events happen, the budget processes goes, the elections happen every April. I mean, she's hard on us,
So tell me about a typical Student Senate meeting. Is it a free-for-all? Is there some structure? What do your meetings look like?
It's a lot of structure. We have an agenda. We have to read the minutes and make sure everything is correct, and we have to approve it. And we all have reports. We have the president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, parliamentarian, and campus activities chair. And we all have reports on how our committees are doing, like the budget committee. We're doing the budgets for the student organizations right now. So we have to tell them what progress we're making. And then we tell them, like, we have old news, old business, and new business. That would be what the president has been wanting us to do, what events we have planned. And then at the end, that's when it's open discussion. And we use parliamentary procedure, but that is a time where all the organizations, they can say, hey, we're TASU, we're going to have a back-to-school game night, so come, it's going to be fun. That's when it's a little, a little more casual. And it's just to make sure that everybody, if they're not on the agenda, that they can actually say something.
So by following those Robert's Rules of Order in your meetings, let's say I am part of another student organization and we're struggling with some of those issues. Is there someone in Student Senate who can help us maybe structure our meetings so that they're more effective?
There actually is the parliamentarian this year. It's Joshua Menares. He is the one who interprets and enforces Robert's rules in our meetings, so he is the most knowledgeable about it this year. So if we actually do have a new organization, Pre-Professional Math and Sciences, so if their president, Julio, is like, Joshua, my meetings are just crazy, nobody listens, how can I make sure that it's fair for everyone to say what they want to say? And he would be like, well, according to Robert's Rules of Order, so
that's good.
That's who we could go to.
So tell me, is there anything that you have learned through your experiences with Student Senate that you will be able, that you can apply to your classes here?
I have learned that criticism isn't always negative, and that just because somebody doesn't like my idea, it doesn't mean that it's bad, it just might not fit. I've really learned to give other people the credit they deserve and to be a better listener and to, honestly work better with others. It's not just, in the sandbox. It's, as an adult, you have to learn to work well with others. That means if our President Leslie has a better idea for the Halloween party than I do, well, I can't be hurt that everyone likes her idea better because, maybe my idea to have a bonfire isn't that great for kids, so.
And how do you decide whether or not an idea is, whether it's a good fit?
Well, we do a lot of debating, deliberation, and discussion. So I know last year we thought about having a hayride, and it was a really great idea. We would talk about it. Could we get a horse or a tractor? Could we get a trailer? We would talk about it, but then somebody would say, well, what about insurance? What if someone falls? What if someone's allergic to horses? So we have to literally think of everything, and if it's honestly a really good idea, it'll pass through all of our deliberation and judgments. And if it's a bad idea, it'll fall through the cracks. So that's how we decide. And I don't think we've had a few situations where we really can't decide between two things. And if it's butting heads that much, we have Miss Linda.
So you have that executive decision that then comes in. How has that helped you? Is there a specific class you have maybe that some of those skills have been able to translate to?
Oh, actually, in my Composition 1 class last semester, I actually wrote quite a bit on how Student Senate has changed me, the way I think and the way I look at things, instead of, I've always been open-minded, but not more open-minded, because you have to understand, not everyone is thinking what you're thinking. If I say, hey, it'd be great if we had our meetings on Mondays instead of Wednesdays, and everyone else is, well, we've already fixed our schedules. Well, why did you fix your schedule for a Wednesday meeting? Who meets on Wednesdays? So, it really made me understand that not everyone always thinks what I'm thinking, and to give other people the credit they deserve, just being with a group of intelligent individuals that have so much responsibility, it changes you. It changes the way you think.
Does it, your involvement with Student Senate, has it changed the way you schedule other things in your life? Do you have to be more organized to get things finished?
I do. This year is the first year that I've taken on a job during the school year, and for the first, I don't know, probably 3 weeks, it was really shaky.
Right.
I mean, I was always having to leave events early. It was terrible, but I eventually knew that I had to schedule Student Senate almost as if it were like a 5-hour class on my schedule.
Right.
So when I give my availability to my work, I'm like, this is Student Senate. I'll be there from 2 to 5 p.m. on Wednesdays, and then I'll have to like look at all the events and be like, okay, I'm going to need 4 hours off this day because I need to set up, do the event, and set and tear down. So, I mean, I really have to treat it like it's a class. It's not something that's optional for me. As an officer, that is what I do. So,
has it interfered with your coursework?
No, it doesn't interfere with my coursework because I put my class and Student Senate, they're on the same level, even though I'm student first, but how can I, neglect my coursework and still say that I'm such a great officer? Because I can't, because it's a Student Senate, and we're supposed to be doing the same amount as all the other students here. We have classwork just like them, and that's why we can relate to them so well.
Okay.
So I make sure it doesn't interfere with my coursework, and if that means sometimes that I have to maybe ask if I can step out for a few minutes during an event because I have to study for a test, that's what I have to do.
Right. All right. Thank you for sharing that. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the things that Student Senate has done in our community and here on campus, and then also a bit more about Kendra's experiences with Student Senate and how that has impacted her and how she thinks that will impact her future. So join us after the break.
There's a saying, do what you love what you do. At Kansas City, Kansas Community College Technical Education Center, you can choose from 20 technical programs, affordable programs designed to prepare you for high-demand jobs. You can be prepared for the job you love in 1 year or less. Visit us online at kckcc.edu or call today about the wide variety of technical education programs offered at the Technical Education Center at 2220 North 59th Street, phone 627-4100.
Every day, thousands of people are diagnosed with macular degeneration, a disabling eye disease that leads to severe vision loss. As a scientist conducting research for the American Health Assistance Foundation, I want you to know that there is hope that a cure and new treatments for macular degeneration will soon be found, but only if we can continue our groundbreaking research. Learn about my research. Call 1-800-437-2423 or visit ahaf.org for free publications on eye disease.
Welcome back to Focal Point. I'm here again with Kendra Folsom, and we're going to continue our conversation about the Student Senate here on the Kansas City, Kansas Community College campus. And Kendra, we've talked about a little bit about the mission of Student Senate, and you've talked about some of the things. Give me a little bit more information about some of the activities that Student Senate has been involved in, either in the community or on campus.
Well, on campus, we strongly believe in giving back to the students because we have a budget and it comes from the students' course fees. And we don't want them to think, well, where does that course fee go? Like, does it disappear after I pay my tuition? No, we like to give back to the students. So we do events. We start planning our events this summer before the term starts. And we have the Back to School Bash it's in August, and we have, all sorts of cool things. We have a DJ, we have food, we had a dunk tank this year. It was Dunkadine. It was really fun. And we always try and make sure we give back to the students. We make it as cheap as possible because it's for them, and we know that not a lot of them have a whole lot of money. So we do events like the Back to School Bash. We do events for their children, like the kids' Halloween party, the kids' breakfast with Santa, and the kids' Easter egg hunt, because a lot of the people here also have children, or a lot of staff and faculty here also have children. We want it to be for them too. We do diversity programming. For example, we have a Mardi Gras celebration every year that's actually coming up this month. We have Cinco de Mayo festival. So we make sure that we give back to the students, and those are just some of the events that we do during the year. For the community, we actually started something new this year. We decided to kind of adopt these senior citizens at the medical lodge, and it's because a lot of them are put in the homes, and sometimes their family doesn't have time to see them, or their family has moved away. So we decided to go there for Christmas, and we brought a bunch of little gifts and stockings for them, and we're going to go again for Valentine's Day. We're going to bring them all sorts of Valentines and chocolates. So that's some of the things that we do in the community.
So what was the reaction of the residents at Medical Lodge when you all went?
There were a lot of tears, I mean, and it's kind of crazy because you see this person that you've never met, and you're doing something kind for them, and they look at you and they tell you that they love you, and it's kind of melts your heart, and it makes you realize that these people, they're not just some geezers that don't have anything to say. They've gone through so much and they've lived their life, and all they want is somebody to sit down and talk to and say, hey, let me tell you what happened when I was a kid.
Right.
All they want is someone to relate to, and it changed all of us a lot. And we came back from the senior citizen, the Medical Lodge that day, and we were just like, we have to keep on working with them, we have to.
That's great. I think sometimes we get so caught up in our own lives and thinking about ourselves, really, that we forget that there are other people out there who do need us.
I can't agree more.
Yeah. So what types of reactions do you get from people here on campus with events that you've had?
Oh, man. We had the flip books for the back-to-school pizza party. And
can you tell me what that is?
Oh, well, you shoot a 7-second video, kind of like in slow motion, and they print it out in a bunch of photographs and flip it, and it's like you see you moving. It's really cool. And man, it had the greatest response of any novelty we've ever had. Students just loved it because you could get wigs and boas and signs saying, dude, this is great, or dear parents, send me money. Flip the sign. So it was really great. It was funny. People really got involved in it. They would grab their friends and jump and make a video real fast. So a lot of them really enjoy it. Whenever we have food, for example, at the back to school bash, we sell. You can get a hamburger or a hot dog, chips, and a drink for $1. So they also are very grateful that we make things like that available to them. So it's really great.
And in addition to being grateful for cheap food, we know that's important to college students. How do you think those activities impact our student body in general? Does it make them feel more connected to the campus? Can they just take it or leave it? How do you think they feel about those things?
Well, they're kind of like fellowship activities because you get to. It's really a great opportunity to meet other individuals in the college, but also I think it really does make them feel more connected to what goes on in the college because, first of all, like I said earlier, that's their student fee coming back to them, so they know that it eventually is a cycle, and they see us doing all this and working with the Dunca Deans, so they then can point us out in a crowd and say, hey, if I want something to be changed or if I think we need to have an event, then that's who I talk to.
Okay. So when you first entered our campus, did you know immediately that you wanted to be involved in Student Senate?
I didn't, because in high school I did everything but student government because I thought it was kind of like a secret club that nobody was invited to in my high school, but I didn't know that I wanted to. I heard somebody in the honors office talking about it. I believe it was Adam Shirley. He's our vice president. He was the secretary last year. He was talking to the president last year, Malcolm Jefferson, about a student senate. And I was like, I'm really bored with my classes. I'm not taking a whole lot of classes. They're not too hard because it's my first semester, and I really feel like I should do something else. So I asked them about student senate. They're like, dude, you should join. We need people. So that was how I got interested. It wasn't until I actually visited Linda Sutton downstairs to talk to her about it that I realized this really might be for me.
And so now that you're involved, what have you gotten from that personally?
Oh, I'm so much more organized now. I used to never bring an agenda anywhere. I just try and remember everything, and things would always be forgotten. Now, just from the organization from Student Senate, I talked earlier that we have the agenda. Now, I make to-do lists all the time. It's okay, first I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this. Now I love seeing things in a very structured list, and it kind of conditioned me to get things done like that now.
Do you think there's anything that you are learning through this experience that you will be able to take with you after you leave this campus?
Definitely, because like I said, it's working well with others in a professional adult environment. So now even when I work at McDonald's. I don't know if I said that. It's really useful for when I work at McDonald's because I'm already always used to representing the Student Senate and trying to be professional. So now if I have a customer who's angry, I can I already have that demeanor. I'm able to just, it's very easy for me. And I think it's very important that we all have that sense of always representing something on our shoulders, because if in high school when I never felt like I was representing anything, I would be, oh wow, I wouldn't care who I made mad. Now it's like, dude, somebody could recognize me, so.
So do you see yourself as a role model?
I do, and you know, I really love that I'm a role model too, because for example, my little sister, she is in 6th grade right now. I remember I joined Student Senate, so then she joined her student government when she was in elementary school, 5th grade, so I really thought that was amazing. And sometimes it kind of sucks though, because I'll be busy with Student Senate and I wouldn't have time for her, so the time commitment, you know, kind of gets to you, but I do get to be a role model, and she sees, you know, I didn't have to sign up for Student Senate, and ideally I could quit anytime I wanted, but to see that I'm actually seeing this through and I'm doing it for my 2nd year, I really hope that that sense of commitment really inspires her to do something similar. So
let's say I'm a student here on campus, you pass me in the hallway, and you think that I might be a good fit for Student Senate. What's your elevator speech? You know, you've got a few seconds to tell me, to convince me to join your organization. What would you tell me about Student Senate?
I kind of say the same thing every time. I'm like, you should join Student Senate, and that...
Why?
Yeah, that's exactly what it says. They're like, well, why? And I have to explain to them, well, first of all, we're not just like a high school student government. We actually work with the president, vice president, provost, dean's council, and especially we work with the students. And not only do we try and get things done, but like I said, we do all the events. And I try to explain to this person first that it's a time commitment. It's not you show up to a meeting and you're done. We meet about 5 hours a week at least, and then 4 more hours if we have an event that week. So I try to explain to them the time commitment, make sure they have time for it. And then I explain to them like kind of the benefits of Student Senate. First of all, it's on your resume. So I did my resume last year, and I did over 100 hours for Student Senate, and that's pretty impressive, especially when you're trying to transfer to a 4-year university. They want to see, well, why should I let you in? Because you have okay grades, but also look at what this person's going to be able to do for our campus and for our community. They obviously have a commitment to Kansas City, Kansas Community College, but I wonder how they could transfer that to KU. So I try to explain to them that there are benefits. It's not just that you get a cool polo and maybe people know your name. So
okay. So think about events that you have planned in the past as part of Student Senate. What are some things that you've learned from those events? Because that can be a learning process in itself. You can't just wake up one day and say, oh, we're going to have this campus event tomorrow. There's a planning process. What have you learned through that process?
I've learned that you have to know who your audience is. I know one year, it was last year actually, we planned the Valentine's Day party, and we wanted to make it kind of like a Valentine's Day lovers ball dance thing. And we had all the lights, we had all the tables set up, we had a stage, we had the music, and nobody wanted to dance. And we realized, well, how many couples actually go to this school, Maybe next year we should do kind of like a singles fling or something. So we really have to know our audience. We can't come up here and play a bunch of country music because not a lot of students here like country. So we obviously have to know what the students would like, which is why it's so important that Student Senate is student run, because we have classes with the students, we're friends with the students, we go out and watch movies with the students. So it's really important that this organization is student run, because you can't plan an event without knowing what the students want.
And it sounds like from your example of, like asking Mimas to stay open late in the evenings, and you all did a little research before you made that decision. So it appears that you are not just as this elite group making decisions for all students. You're actually trying to figure out, or talking to students and finding out what their needs are, so that you can then structure yourselves to meet those needs.
That's correct.
Okay.
Because we've actually tried to do things before, and there was something last year, I can't quite remember. We're not that elite, because if we try and do something and the dean of student, vice president
Yes.
Brian Bodie, sorry, if he doesn't like it, he will say no. So some of our ideas do get shot down. So we have to understand, if we have an idea, it doesn't mean that it's going to happen. We have a lot of red tape to go through.
And then that in itself is a learning process. He's not just saying no just because he feels like it today. There's a reason for that. And so then those are things that that you have to consider the next time you have a proposal. And no, that's not going to fly because
That's exactly right. You know, we have a lot of things that we have to keep in mind. We have to keep in mind that this is a community college. Sometimes people, you know, they're bringing their kids here while they go to the bookstore. So if we're having an event, we can't have music that's too, you know, it's not family orientated. Right. If we're doing an event and we want to have some huge parade or something, well, we have a budget. So right. We also have the people, you know, the president, the vice president, to be like, hey, you got to keep that in mind.
Those are good things to think about. So in our last couple of minutes here, what, if you had to sum it up, what have you personally gained from being a part of this organization?
So much more professional now. When I first got to college, I thought it was going to be wild and crazy, and now I've realized, you know, that's only one part of the college experience that people talk about. I really like being professional much more. I like that I have so much power and responsibility. Like, it's the responsibility that I really like, because that's changed me, because now not only do I feel like I have to do my classwork, but I have a sense of duty to the citizens, to the students here.
Right.
So.
It's like, welcome to adulthood.
Right.
Yeah.
It really is, because, you know, in college you don't always get that until maybe your junior or your senior year. And right now, I'm dealing with that right now. So, I mean, it's perfect. I wouldn't have done it any other way. If I hadn't have been involved with Senate, I probably would be a completely different person, even though it's only not even been 2 years.
Cool. Sounds like this has been a great experience
for
you. Okay. And you're going to keep it up, right?
I am. I can't wait to transfer and do stuff at
Keep
UMKC.
Doing more, yeah. And you can take the skills that you've learned here along with you.
Yeah, I'm very excited.
Good. Well, thank you for coming and sharing with us today.
It was no problem. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Thank you all for joining us on Focal Point, and we'll see you next time.